Islam. So that was some of the prophecies of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. There are many more, but those are just some of the ones that I want to touch on, just to show you how accurate he was regarding current events. Now I want to read to you. This is a prophecy. This is a Moorish prophecy that's over 500 years old, and it was specifically amongst the Moors in Spain, as they were being conquered by the Europeans. They had a whole literature, and this is just one of the prophecies that was found within that literature. And I'm gonna read it to you because it's deep. It's deep with regards to certain things that's happening now as well. It says, a third prophecy is attributed to Muhammad himself and may have formed the basis for other prophecies. It is related that Muhammad was asked about the end of the world and what would happen thereafter to his community. Muhammad replied that the world will come to an end when the most perverse and worst people appear, at a time when a part of his community will still be in an island situated in the extreme west, which is called Andalusia, talking about Spain. He said at that time all of a sudden this will appear, this people who he referred to as being the most worst and perverse people. And he said that the people of his community will be the last of its inhabitants. All calamities will befall them because of their neglect of religious law and their worldliness, neglecting prayers and indulging in luxury. Now, one of the reasons why the Moors fell is because we ourselves got corrupt. And that just opened the way for the Europeans now to come and conquer us. And this is sort of what he's saying here, and sort of what the prophet said, that every nation suffered slavery because it neglected the divine principles of their mothers and fathers. And that's what he's saying here, that they neglected religious law and their worldliness, neglecting prayers and indulging in luxury. He said, it almost sounds like now, he said, the minors or the young among them do not respect the elderly, nor do the elderly have compassion for the minors. And injustices and false oaths abound among them. You know, false oaths, giving your word about something, not keeping your word. And it says, merchants purchase and sell with usury or interest and deceit and covet other people's property. These and other evil things will become manifest, and God will subject them to a people worse than they. So he's saying that even though as bad as corrupt as we got, because of that, God was going to subject us to a people who was even worse than us, which you see is what happened. And it goes on to say that they will be tormented. Cruel governors will rule over them. We see it happen every day. Giuliani, all of them, Giuliani. Cruel governors will rule over them. Their property will be confiscated for no reason. Sounds familiar? They will be captive, prison system, and obligated to eat bacon. They will be captive and subject to killing and conversion, and will worship images and idols. Every time you just go in the Catholic church with all them images up in there, them idols up in there. And it said they will be killed. You see what's happening with the brutality. They will be obligated to eat bacon and will endure the oppressions to the point of hopelessness and despair. One of the things that they did to the Moors when they captured them is force them to eat bacon, because they knew that was against us, eating pork. So they would force them to eat bacon and pork, all kind of stuff. They actually passed laws to force them to eat it. And it says that we will endure those and other oppressions to the point of hopelessness and despair. That's almost where we're at now. God will punish their sins, but he will also have pity on them and will forgive them when those evils are eradicated and when they return to the practice of religious law. Remember the divine and national movement, the temples were set up to get us back in tune with that. So he said, then when we do that, God will have pity on us. The cruelty imposed on us will be so intense that even the angels will become vexed and will appear before the Almighty, calling his attention to their plight. When I put this prophecy on the internet, I called it, even the angels are vexed. To say that because of our condition, our miserable condition, even the angels themselves are vexed. And even the angels themselves are going before the Most High saying, when are you going to help them? When are you going to save them? And it says here that they will appear before God Almighty, calling his attention to their plight. It is then that God, the Avenger, Al-Muntakim, will send someone to rescue them from their miserable condition. This will take place when the new year falls on a Saturday. God will then send a sign consisting of a cloud of birds, two of which will represent the angels Gabriel and Michael. The first cloud of birds will be followed by other birds of the earth to announce the coming of the king of the east and the west, sounds like the Nostradamus prophecy, who will take Andalusia. The conflict between Islam and Christianity will end with the return to the law of the Moors. There will be much cloud in that year, scarcity of water, trees bearing extra fruit, and other signs. And I thought it was interesting that two of the main signs mentioned was birds and clouds. But you know, birds was connected with what they call the West Nile virus. Remember there were all these reports about all these dead birds, all these birds dying? So that's one sign. The other sign was clouds. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this whole thing about the chemtrails that's being sprayed above us. How many of you are aware of that? Or let me say, how many of you are not aware of that? The chemtrails. All right, you'll find a lot of information about this on the internet. They refer to them as chemtrails. See, I don't know how many of you look up above and know what's going on above your heads, but little as it's kept, do you know that planes are spraying something and laying them out in lines and grids above your head every day? And when you look up, see, regular plane contrails dissipate behind the plane like maybe 5 minutes after the plane leaves, it dissipates. Because it's really just ice crystals form. So a plane will leave like a little line, but like 5 minutes later it'll disappear. Not these contrails. This is something else. You'll see these, one day it's a clear sky, look up, and you'll see these planes laying these lines out, right? But these lines, these contrails won't disappear in 5 minutes. Instead, they'll begin to spread out, and they form cloud banks. Now, nobody's sure exactly what this is. You know, it seems as if it's a secret military operation, something like that, because there was a couple of air traffic controllers who came on the air anonymously and said that, yes, this is military. I can't get into the details of it, but it's military. I first noticed it about 4 years ago. I seen these planes laying. At first I was one of those skywriting planes, but then I started to see it too much, and I started to observe the phenomenon every day, and I started seeing stuff where they was laying them out in grids like this, like almost like tic-tac-toe, so that when it was spread out to form a cloud bank, the whole area would be covered. And so it would be days that start off like bright blue sunny day, and these planes are just working. They laying them lines out, boom, 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 boom. By the time they finish, the day was just cloudy. And these clouds are different. If you look at them carefully, they almost look like oily, like slick and oily, like a filmy type of cloud. Sometimes when you look at them and you see the sun shining through it, it polarizes the light of the sun, almost like when you look at an oil slick on the ground, you can see the rainbow in it. It's that same type of oily, filmy looking type of clouds, not real clouds. I remember one time driving on the highway, and a plane flew right overhead making one of them things, and when I flew underneath the line, a glob of some clear, sticky, gooey stuff, it was clear, almost like a gel, fell on my windshield. Now you have people who tested these globs, right? And inside these globs, they found chemical agents, biological agents, and DNA-altering material. DNA-altering material was found in these globs. So, and when you look on the internet, you just punch in chemtrails, C-H-E-M trails. You will see pictures of these things in every state. The government, they know the truth of what the prophet brought. They will have to violate their own oaths and obligations in order to violate us. That's one aspect. But then there are those, like I said earlier, who dealing with that whole Nazi clique, that whole Nazi racist clique that's up in the federal government, who are not bound by that. So we got to keep in mind that that clique is going to try and get the government to treat us like everyone else. What is important, that's why we have to have that grand body in place, so that we could communicate and let be known our status with regards to this government, as well as the international government, and dealing with international opinion, and having a voice within the United Nations also.